peace, true peace, happy holy day. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to World Temple, branch temple number 24 of the Moorish Science Temple of America. We are a chartered and incorporated temple of the Moorish Science Temple of America, and we're teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed. Hope everyone having a good Friday today. We sure gonna make the best of today's holy day. First thing first, I want to give honors to the divine creator, and whatever name you want to refer to divine creator as, whether that's Yahweh, Elohim, Netiru, Anu, Thunderbirds, etc. Whatever floats your boat. So with that, I also want to give honors to the prophet, Noble Drew Ali. I want to give honors to the forerunner of the prophet, Honorable Marcus Garvey. I want to give honors to all of the leaders that came after the prophet and after the forerunner and continue to deliver the message and push the divine and national movement forward, and other movements that are incorporated and work in conjunction with the divine and national movement. I want to give honors to everyone that'll be here in participation tonight. I want to give honors to everything Moorish. And let's get it in. Let's get it in. Let's get it in. Happy holy day, Muslims, peacemakers all over the world. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're about to get started here with our divine supplication, and we'll be ready to go for today. So for those that are coming in, listening to the replays, just listening to the intro or whatever part that you catch, leave a comment in the chat. That way I know you all are present. The app hasn't been showing who comes in the room sometimes, so I miss those that do come in the room to kind of reach out to them and follow up. So let's get straight to it. Y'all know how we do. Begin all prayers and thinking by using the all. O Heavenly One, the Most High, who is sustainer of all the worlds, we do accept the duty you have laid on us to clean up the filth made by the West and its non-submitting fools. O my sustainer, we beseech you to keep your hand over us to control the strings of the courses of our lives. Our sustainer, and if we do wrong, please show thy divine blessings and forgiveness on us. You are the only one that can raise us true followers. You are the only one that can raise us true followers of the news bearers, and in thy name we carry on. Peace, peace, peace. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're coming into the room, I can't see you, so just letting you know I'm here going over our divine supplication. Next, I'm about to jump into our affirmations, our daily affirmations, which you should be reading along with your family as we express here every week. And what we accept is fact. These are the daily affirmations of loyalty of the children of the Elohim. Let's get into it. We accept as fact the eternal laws of nature as revealed through science, past events, logic, and common sense. Revealed as right knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. We accept as fact the highest laws of nature is the cooperation and harmony of all living things. We accept as fact our way of life as a means to the best end. We accept as fact that loyalty is the greatest of all honors and treason is the worst of all crimes. We accept this fact that what is good for the Holy Tabernacle is the highest virtue, and what is bad for the Holy Tabernacle is the ultimate evil. We accept this fact that the Holy Tabernacle is the finest and noblest organization for all humanity, created by circumstances, and the ancient and mystic order of Melchizedek is the noblest of fraternities on and above this planet. We accept this fact that creativity, love, and cooperation are the essence of success. We accept this fact that truth and facts are always and has always been the originator and creator of all success. We accept this fact that all worldwide cultures and civilizations came about from the ancient Sumerians and Canaanite Egyptians and the Anunnaki or Elohims from the heavens, without which there would be none. We accept this fact that for the Holy Tabernacle to survive, expand, and advance, we need first of all a revolution of values and thoughts, which must start within each person by being truthful with themselves and about themselves. Therefore, we completely and categorically reject all myths, fictions, religions, and lies that have not been proven. That would include your heavens, your hells, your hellfire and brimstones, your horny pitchfork devils, your winged angels, and your old man God character sitting on a throne up there somewhere. We deal strictly with facts. If you can't prove it, we don't want to hear it. That doesn't mean we won't listen to you. Just don't expect us to accept your beliefs by virtue of a title such as Reverend, Pastor, Deacon, Imam, Sheik, Rabbi, Minister, Theologian, etc. That is your sensationalism, and we deal with just the facts. We accept this fact that the only true revolution is a war of good against evil, right against wrong, fairness against unfairness, loyalty against disloyalty, sincerity against insincerity, honesty against dishonesty. And this war is fought within each person among the agreeable and disagreeable Elohims that make up your willpower. We accept this fact that the unity of our community and its success will only happen with cooperation, with all involved. We accept this fact the total unification of all humanity on the basis of truth, that is, accepting people, races for who and what they are, respecting their culture, their languages, and their beliefs, and expect the same. We accept this fact that the human race's biological and cultural heritage is now under attack by our own morals, our self-righteousness, our desire to control industry, and these things attack the very existence of humanity. We accept this fact that males as well as females are equal in all things and should be dealt with as partners in all matters. We accept this fact that no one race of people is better than the other. In fact, no one wins the race and racism. We accept this fact that communication between different people is the cure to the ignorance that breeds the disease hate. We accept this fact that a good and well-rounded education could prevent most of the ignorance that plagues the world. We accept this fact that the all is just that, the all. You can't take from the all, you can't add to the all. We are all within the all as one. That is our concept of what you call a deity. To the fulfillment of these facts, we children of the Elohim forever pledge our lives, our sacred honor, and our spiritual zeal. True peace, true peace, true peace. Islam, shalom, namaste. Greetings of peace, of true peace, to everyone that'll be joining us here today for the replay, as well as be in participation on today's holy day, as those that come in gather in. Let's jump right into our Moorish prayer and divine constitution. All right. Peace, peace, peace. Y'all know how this go. 2 fingers up, 5 fingers up, facing the east, feet at a 45-degree angle. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation by night and by day through His holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Amen. All right, y'all. So if you're just coming in the room, I can't see your face at the moment, but I will be reading our divine constitution and bylaws here next from the Moorish Science Temple of America. We are a branch temple of the Moorish Science Temple of America, a global branch temple through the Unity Temples as temple number 24, branch temple number 24. We are a chartered and incorporated temple of the Moorish Science Temple of America. We're teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed. So let's go over these divine constitutions. Act 1. The Grand Sheik and the chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America is empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The assistant Grand Sheik is to assist the Grand Sheik in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Act 2. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest because on a Friday the first man was formed in flesh, and on a Friday the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. No member is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All members must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all members must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are a part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. This organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we're teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and parcel of this said government, and know that they're not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live, and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become part of the uplifting of humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his father, God Allah. True peace, true peace. Islam, shalom, haq shalom. Namaste, namaste. So we're going to jump right into our weekly readings for this week. We're going to open up with the Holy Qur'an, Circle 7. Every week we read chapter 25, called The Holy Covenant of the Asiatic Nation, chapter 47 and chapter 48. And then we bounce around here with the sermon and lecture. And for those that are listening to the replay, feel free to request any other scriptorial reading during these holy days, because we not just only read the Holy Qur'an Circle 7, but we honor all true and divine prophets, as we'll go over here in a sec. So we read all of the Holy Scriptures. So let's jump right into chapter 25. Okay, and it reads, "Ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother had given you suck. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when ye separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. If thy brother is in adversity, assist him. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all in your love to each other." True peace, Islam. So that was chapter 25 from the Holy Qur'an, Circle 7. And this chapter, if it hasn't been any other time, it is now one of the most important chapters to be paying attention to in these days and times. Because we as a people must be prepared like a bride for the groom, for the returning of the golden age, for the return of the higher intelligences that are seeking for us to elevate in the galactical affairs of the Omniverse. So with that, let's jump right into chapter 47. I'm doing our weekly reading, so you can stick around. We'll get to the sermon. And this is a question and answer space, so feel free to ask questions. If you can't come to the stage or can't speak at the moment, feel free to put your questions in the chat. At the moment, I can't see the room, so Just leave your questions in the chat and raise your hand if you would like to come on stage. And before you raise your hand, if you're not a member of the room, go ahead and join the room by clicking that block of words at the top that says World Temple, and then click join, and then come back and raise your hand so that way I can bring you up on stage when I look back at the screen. So let's jump into chapter 47, called Egypt, the capital empire of the dominion of Africa. And it reads, the inhabitants of Africa are the descendants of the ancient Canaanites from the land of Canaan. Old man Cush and his family are the first inhabitants of Africa who came from the land of Canaan. His father Ham and his family was second. Then came the word Ethiopia, which means the demarcation line of the dominion of Amexem, the first true and divine name of Africa, the dividing of the land between the father and the son. The dominion of Cush, northeast and southeast Africa, and northwest and southwest, was his father's dominion of Africa. In later years, many of their brethren from Asia and the Holy Lands joined them. The Moabites from the land of Moab, who received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle and inhabit northwest Africa, they were the founders and all the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire, with their Canaanite, Hittite, and Amorite brethren who sovereign from the land of Canaan, seeking new homes. Their dominion and inhabitation extends from northeast and southwest Africa, across Great Atlantis, even unto the present North, South, and Central America, and also Mexico and the Atlantis Islands, before the great earthquake which caused the Great Atlantic Ocean. The river Nile was dredged and made by the ancient pharaohs of Egypt in order to trade with the surrounding kingdoms. Also, the Niger River was dredged by the great pharaoh of Egypt in those ancient days for trade, and it extends eastward from the river Nile, westward across the Great Atlantic. It was used for trade and transportation. According to all true and divine records of the human race, there is no Negro, black, or colored race attached to the human family, because all the inhabitants of Africa were and are of the human race, descendants of the ancient Canaanite nation from the Holy Land of Canaan. What your ancient forefathers were, you are today without doubt or contradiction. There's no one who is able to change man from the descendant nature of his forefathers unless his power extends beyond the great universal creator Allah himself. These holy and divine laws are from the prophet Ali, the founder of the uniting of the Moorish Temple of America. These laws are to be strictly preserved by the members of all the temples of the Moorish Temple of America, that they will learn to open a meeting and guide it according to the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Every subordinate temple of the Grand Major Temple is to form under the covenant of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and to create their own laws and customs in conjunction with the laws of the Holy Prophet and the Grand Temple. The Prophet Ali was sent by the great God Allah to warn all Asiatics of America to repent from their sinful ways before that great and awful day that it should have come. The time has come when every nation must worship under its own vine and fig tree, and every tongue must confess its own. Through sin and disobedience, every nation has suffered slavery due to the fact that they honored not the creed and principle of their forefathers. That is why the nationality of the Moors was taken away from them in 1774, and the word Negro, black, and colored was given to the Asiatics of America who were of Moorish descent, because they honored not the principles of their mother and father and strayed after the gods of Europe, of whom they knew nothing. True peace, true peace. If you're just coming into the room, we're reading chapter 47 of the Holy Qur'an, Circle 7, as we do every week. So let's jump to the next chapter, which is chapter 48 for our weekly reading, called The End of Time and the Fulfilling of the Prophecies. And it reads, the last prophet in these days is Noble Drew Ali, who was prepared divinely in due time by Allah to redeem men from their sinful ways and to warn them of the great wrath which is sure to come upon the earth. John the Baptist was the forerunner of Jesus in those days to warn and stir up the nation and prepare them to receive the divine creed which was to be taught by Jesus. In these modern days there came a forerunner of Jesus who was divinely prepared by the great God Allah, and his name is Marcus Garvey, who did teach and warn the nations of the earth to prepare to meet the coming prophet who was to bring the true and divine creed of Islam. And his name is Noble Drew Ali, who was prepared and sent to this earth by Allah to teach the old time religion and the everlasting gospel to the sons of men, that every nation shall and must worship under their own vine and fig tree, and return to their own and be one with their Father God Allah. The Moorish Temple of America is a lawfully chartered and incorporated organization. Any subordinate temple that desires to receive a charter, the Prophet has them to issue to every state throughout the United States, etc., that the world may hear and know the truth, that among the descendants of Africa, There's still much wisdom to be learned in these days for the redemption of the sons of man, under love, true peace, freedom, and justice. We as a clean and pure nation descended from the inhabitants of Africa do not desire to amalgamate or marry into the family of the pale-skinned nations of Europe, neither serve the gods of their religion, because our forefathers are the true and divine founders of the first religious creed for the redemption and salvation of mankind on earth. Therefore, we are returning the church and Christianity back to European nations as it was prepared by their forefathers for their earthly salvation. While we, the Moorish Americans, are returning to Islam, which was founded by our forefathers for our earthly and divine salvation. The covenant of the great God Allah, honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be longer upon the earthland, which the Lord thy God Allah had given thee. Come, all ye Asiatics of America, and hear the truth about your nationality and birthrights, because you are not Negroes. Learn of your forefathers' ancient and divine creed, that you will learn to love instead of hate. We are trying to uplift fallen humanity. Come link yourself with the family of nations. We honor all true and divine prophets. True peace, true peace. So let's open up for this week. Hope everyone is having a good week. So we're going to get right into it. The prophet left us with some instructions. We was left with some instructions to follow. We was given instructions on misery. We was given instructions on the insufficiency of knowledge. Having a lack of knowledge, man, it could really damage you in your journey. It can really deviate you from your journey or hinder you as you go on your journey of life. We was given instructions about weakness. Weakness, which is in this manner being described as vanities and inconsistency, not standing in the consistent form of work or actions or things that need to be done consistently. This is what forms weakness, even if it's exercising that inconsistency. Infirmity, not standing firm on what it is that you say you are about and do. We was given instructions on being unstable, the instability of man, of human. So that all ties back to being inconsistent. When you're inconsistent, you have your weakness. You have your lack of power. You build power by exercising consistency. Even during the times when you feel like, oh, I don't feel like me, I go next time. No. You do it now. And you put the same amount of effort that you did the week before then. True peace, Brother John.
True peace. Happy holy day.
Happy holy day, brother. Happy holy day. Keep a lookout on the stage for me. On the stage for me. So
Yeah,
that way I know
I'll do my
people.
best. I'll just type some text or whatnot.
Yeah, let me know. Because I'm gonna be going through the sermon today. So if you can, either just back channel me or put it in the chat. That way I know somebody's in the room. So that way we could send them an invite or just give them a quick reminder to click that block of words at the top and follow the room. Or you can send it to my back channel on here. I don't know if you know how to send private message. You just gotta click. Well, yeah, you should. All you do is click on my PTR. It should take you. But let's jump into this week's reading. So that lack of inconsistency, that lack of consistency is what this weakness is. It creates infirmity, uncertainty. You build up strength and power as you go week to week to week to week, day to day to day, doing what it is that you say that you was going to do. And we all fall off. We all do it. Nothing wrong with that. So let's jump into some of this literature from the prophet. So we can see what spirit want to guide us this week. We have went over a slew of things over these past couple weeks. And last week we left off talking about the divisions between us as a people, whether it's individual, man and woman, genders, relationships in our families, our communities, and also faiths, spiritualities, different walks of life, how we're divided by these things, how we're conquered as a people by these things, even down to classism, which keeps people really divided under a subtle veil. So I want to read this caveat impetus by the prophet. It kind of goes over some of these things. The prophet says, Moors are men upright, independent, and fearless, who care for their loved ones and follow the prophet to a destiny which is not uncertain nor unknown. They are fortified by the impregnable doctrine built upon love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. It is therefore folly at its greatest height for smelly culprits with their insidious plans to invade such realm. They try and try, but their own bad planning brings down wrath upon their head, like the sword old Damocles had. Intrigue and scrupulous cunnings find a difficult path to travel within the ranks of the Moor. This is so because the Moorish movement has been well planned by Prophet Zabuwr Ali, whose latent powers are abundant, unknown, and may be called into action as a matter of defense at any moment. Prophet Zabuwr Ali knows the people within his rank who are interested. They are the vanguard of the movement as the Moorish hordes increase here in America. All of the Moors are active, not passive. A member's interest can only be in one direction, and having traveled over the road years before the prophet knows where every member is along the road. A few feet below is another road where schemers work, where traitors grin, and culprits bask in the sun. They think they are on the same road with true Moors, but the Moors are high above on a pinnacle where they might view the destructionists as they fall for the last time, and their bones bleach in the sultry midday sun. Hungry scavengers flying high, catch scent, devour, and leave carrying out. Caveat emptor, cast out the dead carcass. The Moors high above see the plotters, purveyors, the worst that exists, hurl themselves downward by their own work as the hawk awake. True peace. So those that keep us in a state of cunning debating, contentious debating, these conversations that are really low vibrational, they're not needed. There's no excuse for them. There's no reason for them. This is not the things that we should be civically engaging about. and having that civic engagement. This is very, very tellsome when we get into these type of conversations and dialogues. We can't get to the seriousness of what needs to be done. People say they have their goals, their dreams, their aspirations, but what work are you doing toward that goal, that dream, that aspiration? If the goal is for every American or everyone to have a trust structure, first they have to understand the religious concept of things and the trust of the community. A lot of people want individual trust, but don't already understand. They already don't understand the trust that they already inherited when they were born. Wherever demographics, location, and wherever you were at, 9 times out of 10 in this modern day time, you was born into a community trust, a public beneficiary trust, multiple. So those that are real Moors, we have to really wake it up. This is why I say for the past holy days last year, get yourself around some active Moors that are active. There's a lot of things just besides getting your bills paid that the Moors do and should be participating in, especially real Moors. The Prophet called for us to be politically active. Changing your status is a political thing. This is why getting involved with the temple is important, because it's not just a ethnicity thing. This is about a honor, an honorary thing that you have at your disposal. Because a lot of people hear that you're a part of the Moorish Science Temple of America, or you know some Moors, they eyes get big and like, oh, he can help me get my bills paid. Oh, he can help me become a sovereign citizen, etc. All these different things. Moors should be jurists just like anyone else. You should have Moors that specialize in administration, just like anyone else that knows what the profession of administration actually is about. We have a lot of these distractions that our people come across, and it's not helping you get in tune with your higher self and the frequency change that you must change, the paradigmic change that you must have when you come into the divine. It's called the divine for a reason, because it's to connect you with your divinity, not for you to change your status on paper. That's had nothing to do with the whole point of the redemption, especially changing your political status. Because politics goes back to what you believe civically. And this country, this nation, and not just this country or nor this nation, majority of the communities across the world are established on the life and ways of peace. Majority, not all, I can't say, but majority of them are established on having peace. Civilized people in their community. So this is about honor. This is not about staying in subjugation. Being a reprobate. Because there's plenty of things that we have to involve ourselves in as Moorish people. But as I asked a couple holy days ago, when and where and how well do we see ourselves going? We touched on our marriages and our families last week, and about about the things that are being portrayed in the media about that. And every week we know as a people with this this world of fast living and gotta have this, gotta have that, you always have something going on every week, something new going on every week. People are not barely even talking about the UFO thing too much like that anymore. It's like it's came, it's passed, it was stated, and now it's not even much of a big thing. Biden did a press conference and said a little bit. I did get a chance to see that. But it's solely touching on the things we have been reading in El's Holy Injiyl. So we've been reading some things that really play out from the inspiration that was given to the ancient scribes, the ancient sages, and those who involve themselves in the divine inspiration. We come here to do the works of the divine. So learning about this process and that process, that's not a bad thing, or procedure more so, because most of the stuff should be looked at as administrative procedure and business processes. But these are not the things that are really being conveyed in the temple. The message that's being conveyed in the temple is to get yourself in tune with spirit for the redemption first. Like I said, not to redeem yourself on paper. A lot of those people that do go through those processes and want to be involved with those processes have no clue about the spiritual involvement that's behind a lot of that stuff. And they miss that side of things because the people that is teaching them is not connecting the dots for them with why it's important to be involved in a temple. Why it's important to have a branch temple that you're a part of. Come prepare yourself like a bride. Come where they talking about the multiple dimensions, the parallel dimensions. We going into the science of these things, how they connect to our atmosphere, how the atmosphere has another layer, which we call the new sphere. How every culture and community of people across the world has filtered that word of noon, and everyone has multiple definitions and ways to say it throughout the scriptures and texts and languages across the world and dialects. The true light that ties us all together as one people. This is why we have to really understand what the divine mission is for the divine movement. Because it's one thing just teaching brothers how to pay the bills in their house and teaching them something that's really simple to explain, which is not even a class that's really needed for that. But this, with going into our civics, going into our customs, our habits, our virtues, living as a community of people. Was you trying to say something, Brother Jonathan? I heard somebody chime in. I'm not sure who that was.
Yeah. Going back to the politics about the looking at the different parties and talking about the democratic way of living, and participating within the environments globally, and being able to integrate. I'm curious how you view the nature in which, how, there's Democrats, Republicans, and, I've slowly been moving my way out of that it feels like a circus after watching so many different advertisements and propaganda with it. And so it's kind of like, what is your view on the democratic way of participating as a party? And is it something that you can be involved in?
Yeah, it actually is. Let me read this piece of literature from the prophet. It's called Political Slavery. The prophet says, anytime a man or woman fails or refuses to cast a sacred ballot at the polls, they separate themselves from all rights of an American citizen. For surely this is the connecting medium for a citizen to his nation. They become no more than belated beasts of burdens. There are reasons why certain classes who are more or less independent take no part in politics, since they say they get nothing out of such in the way of material gain. This is no less than a political slave, since they refuse to voice their sentiments at the polls. Another form of political slavery, which is probably more prevalent among the less independent classes, is that of being forced into one of the major parties and there bribed, coerced, or otherwise forced to vote the wishes of someone else, regardless of their own mind. Before there can be general relief for the economic good of all forms of political slavery must be abolished, and every citizen must take his part in the affairs of the nation. So, in political science, every party has a way and custom about how they go through their civic engagements, their civic virtues, the things that they have, as far as the philosophical ways of being a Democrat or being a Republican. So when we say nucracy and we do have our own party, we just need the active Moors to really get involved with having their own understanding of what a nucracy, a form of a nucracy is, a nucratic republic is. Whether you want to be on the Republican side, which a lot of Moors understand, we've built the republic here in America. But if we take it even further back, we had a genocracy, which is basically a governmental body that was ran by the mothers of the tribes, the clan mothers of the tribes. And if you go further back, we've always had a patrimony structure, not a patriarchy or just a matriarchy. We had a parenthood society where the society itself was chaperoned by the adults, by the parents of the society. So today, with having a nucracy, this is based on the divine connection with nature and your divinity. As it said in the literature that we just read, having your own mind, true free thought. So a lot of them branch themselves off into left wing, right wing, and these other different political factions that they have. You have the leftists, your so-called rights, your liberals, etc. The fractionalization and the sectism within politics itself goes on and on and on. But if we're going to choose a political system, why not have one that's based on a nucratic theocracy, which is what our political designation would actually be. So if we are a theocratic form of people, but with the nucratic structure, meaning it's based on the intelligence of nature and not the mind or the individual religious ruler or authority, as we say, one temple, one prophet. Noble Drew Ali is a religious authority and leader, but his structure is based on justice, love, true peace, freedom, and justice being rendered through the source, subhanahu wa ta'ala, the divine. So if that is the case, then that means we don't just have a theocracy, we have a nucracy. We have a nucratic theocracy because it is based on divine mind, the divine source, the divine creator. The nucratic party is the political system or political theorem that can be put into implementation for all peoples globally. So they scream democracy, 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 but technically it should be a nucracy where everyone has the opportunity for freedom of thought, true freedom of thought, and not be bombarded by propaganda, evangelistic behavior, and politics. Because, like I said, it's all based on political theory, and a lot of those political theories and science goes back to certain individuals, such as the Marxisms, the communisms, and socialisms, and the different forms that it takes, whether it's good or bad, or even anachronisms, I'm sorry, societies based on chaos, which you also have that as well. But we come from being the builders of civilization, so our form and structure would be in alignment with those who built civilization. So that would mean that we have a meritocracy concept. That means we would have a democracy concept, as well as a nucracy structure of looking at things, a new logical way of looking at things, versus just having a logical or theological or philosophical view of it. We're looking through the eyes of spirituality, through the eyes of divinity, before we look through the eyes of just the animal mind and the animal concept and principle of looking at things. So being that the civilizers, which ties into the Moors, and that term that a lot of people use, which is civiliter mortus, being civilly dead, or you're civilly living, you're civilly functioning as a civic being or sentient being. We always had a structure of order. This goes back to the principle of justice, love, true peace, freedom, and justice. So you find your political guides right there. You find your political principles right there within the 5 points. That gets perverted a lot and has been perverted over time, because all of this ties back into that ancient Egypt land type structure. So if we go back there, even those that want to take the anachronism back, go back to the forms of anachronism, that is just Ipet in ancient Egypt, which is the religion of chaos, destruction, and those type of views. Today it would be called Satanism or Luciferianism. But with us having with us having a place in the political front, and it already being based on that main civic principle of justice, which we refer to as Mat or Ma'at in ancient Egypt, or in Hebrew, Lawiy, law, then, or Torah, law, or Torah, law, for law, then everything is based on that divine law, those divine principles, that divine principle of justice. This is why if we go through the Temple 101s and it asks, what does the name Jesus mean? It means justice. So this is why it's you understood that?
Yeah, that was cool. And then you like went into the
What?
university and that made me think of the blogging and then how like on a global level, website sites can be the world, and so that's where the hands-on approach, because all these other websites like the Democrats or Libertarians or Green Party, it's a website to the party, and then you just contribute monetarily, but there's not really any active involvement other than participating in the event. You know what I mean? So yeah,
Right. Now,
it's something that
did that
really
answer in
people should look at.
did it I was gonna ask, did it answer your question that you had?
Yeah, it's given me a. I'm creating a perspective on what everything is going on with Temple and myself, and being involved here week after week, and then looking at the bigger picture with the blogging, and not just my blog, but also participating as a minister with the World Temple blog, and looking at the democratic form of self government. Like everything you just said is right on point with the truth, freedom, peace, and justice. So yeah, thanks. Cool. One day at a time.
Peace, true peace. Yes. So the prophet left us with what was needed, the guides of political structure. Like we've read before, this is coming from the ancient sages, the ancient wisdom. So thank you for that, Brother Jonathan, for that contribution. So as I was saying, we have to understand that the mission that we're brought on in the divine movement is more important than just the paperwork thing, or even learning how to pay some bills, which, like I said, that could be taught less than 5 minutes on how to do and how to understand it. Everyone gets a coupon from where's their lights, their gas, their phone on the bill. You have the payment coupon on the bill. You're turning that coupon into a check. We know the United States has the obligation to discharge and settle the debts in any form of legal tender, because credit, and paper credit at that, is not actual currency like silver and gold minted coins, which is a whole nother discussion. But it does touch on what we touched on last week. I think we read that last week, but it does mention in El's Holy Injiyl about buying gold. And I'm not sure if we read that last week or the week beforehand, but it does mention to us to buy gold. We should purchase gold. And with that being the case, then that means this is not just something that the forefathers of this nation just got out from nowhere. This is coming from the divine scriptures that we should be participants in purchasing gold. So when we say the dollar doesn't have this intrinsic value of these things, or fiat doesn't have value, we have to kind of really understand where we getting that definition from, where we getting that description from, who's giving us these breakdowns. Because if we go and look at these actual definitions of these terms, they don't mean what they mean in the context of how people are using them. Especially like the word incredible, we use that a lot to say, oh, that was great or something good. But incredible means technically you're unreliable. So context is very important, especially with communication. So let's jump here because we left off last week with the readings where I stopped because we was talking about marriage and families, and I was going into some details, and Spirit say keep on reading. So I read those extra last two verses from El's Holy Injiyl, which really touched on what we have going on today with our society and the hypersexualization of it, and some of the origins of where this comes from. So we left off last week on chapter 2, and we read about how those who overcome and return to the way of peace overcomes the second death. And also the name that'll be given in Revelations 2:17. We also read about, as I said, the two types of women that you'll be dealing with in this last damn time, which is the spirit of Jezebel and the spirit of the divine mother Fatima, the divine mother, your clan mothers that I mentioned earlier. Because during the Islamic days, the Fatimids were the defenders of the bloodline of Muhammad and the children of Fatima in those days and time during the early 1000 ADs, from 600 AD to 1000 AD, defending the bloodline. Because during that time there was a lot of back and forth strife about the Qur'an, the text of the Qur'an, and the books. So go ahead, John.
Is that when, like, around the time when things started kind of switching from a matriarchal society? I mean, like there's definitely been a rift where things shifted.
Yeah, we can say that, because during the from let's say 500 BC on up, you start to have the Romans kind of come into power during that time, or during that phase. And as we read in Setting the Record Straight a couple holy days back, that was called the pre-Columbus era. So you had those pre-Columbus eras that touch on the incoming of what they call patriarchy, or let's say the European version of patriarchy. Because that's not to say that there wasn't any patriarchy in ancient times. Because like I said, you have a patrimony structure which is based on the parents and paternalism, versus patriarchy just dealing with the patriarch of the family, which would be in that case the father. But the patrimony, which includes the father and the mother, is something is different. So
It seems like the U.S., like from my experience growing up in the U.S. with that patriarchal system, it seems like the view wasn't based on a bird's eye view, a global view. It was based on, town to town, state to state, and the structuring of what we now see as the big bird's eye view. And in that, I think there's been a lot of trying to cookie cutter reality versus actually finding a way to flow with the natural order of things. So, yeah.
yeah, that's correct. That's totally correct. The the thing is that we've had, even in this country, we've had both patriarchy and a patrimony structure. The patriarchy came more into effect when corporatocracy became more of the thing, and the oligarchy kind of took over more in the politics of things. Because when you talk about the corporate structure, that is empowered by men mostly, and that's mostly because men were working and the women, especially European women, didn't really go out and work like that. That was more so, the European man, and also the the so-called less independent classes of people, which had both the man and the woman out working in the fields or whatever, whatever genre of industry that they was working in. So this is why I say it was mainly both, because what is not mentioned a lot is that, especially what we're reading here from the scriptures and what we know from the scriptures, we can't just say it's all patriarchy when technically their structure and the base of their philosophy and rule is based on the woman, their particular woman, and the structure of how European women would prefer things to be. So it it can't just be the patriarchy when it was a parental type thing. When we know the power that the Queen of England has, we know the power of the feminist side of what they call the white supremacists, or the patriarchy of white supremacy. There is a matriarch side that stays not talked about, and that's where your witches and your sorceress and all those type of things come into effect. So that's information that's considered more occultic and hidden. So when you bring those things to the light, that's when you're really touching on, a balanced message coming from that. So, or coming, into play about that topic, because the propaganda is, oh, we had a patriarchal society, but technically a lot of the patriarchy structures were in place because the balancement with the matriarchy side and functioning, and how the matriarchy within European psychology or communities actually function. And it's the same thing for people all over the world. There's a balance between what you would consider patriarchy and matriarchy. That's why I was saying there's a patrimony always, whether it's being used in a positive form or it's being used in a negative form. Everything's still rooted back to a form of patrimony. And in today's time, we have the social movements, especially today with the LGBT and QRS, WZY, XYZ, whatever, whatever, and other movements that are pushing for a gender divide, pushing for a social divide, and pushing for priority in a community and a system based on nature, which we know with two counterparts, this is how you continue to grow the genealogy, the bloodline, etc. This is how you continue to have humans on the planet, is to have two people come together and mate. That's natural. It even goes down to basic binary sciences within nature itself. So this is why I say it's not just all one-sided as most people would convey in their narratives or in their expressions or whatever. But that type of communication and expression has left us with a society, with a lot of people in society with a narrow, a narrow-minded view or a narrow view or a narrow perspective of certain things. And so it's hard for them to see past that, because this is what they was told, this is how they so-called was raised, or these are the only things that they have been able to really pick up with all of the data that really gets blocked out by our brain on a day-to-day when we're going about our day-to-day living. So we can say patriarchy, but at the same time, there was a balance between their matriarch and the patriarch. And same thing with us, even with our clan mothers, you still had the clan mothers who would elect the chief ruler, the male, as the chief ruler of the tribe. So there was a balance between the clan mothers and the male side or the masculine side of things. And so understanding and maintaining that respect for those natural functionings, this is where us understanding that even going backwards in time, everything technically has been in the function of a nucracy, especially your ancient civilization builders have majority of them functioned in a nucratic way of living. It might not have been called that at the time. And like I mentioned earlier, you have the word noon in every dialect and language all across the planet. And each one have a different definition. But if we go back to the origin of it, it means those are the true light, the divine light, the divine law, the 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 ordinances, statutes, codes, however you want to look at it, of divine nature. So we don't get a lot of the full perspective. We get a lot of tunnel vision and opinions and have cock narratives or skewed narratives about these type of things and how they played out, because this would break a lot of people from the mental constructs that they hold themselves within, and how they view things, how they view the world, how they define the world, how they express what they see. And like I said, that millions of megabytes of data or gigabytes of data that everybody is really seeing when they, from the moment they open their eyes every day and taking in. So we as a temple of neurologists, scientists of the Moorish Science Temple of America, and whatever other different science that you're into, the master teacher was a factologist. He took us into the facts. He was a theologist. He was an actual neurologist. But he gave us the perspective of factology. So he was a factologist. We're going into the perspective of where the center of all these things come from, which is the true light, which makes us neurologists. So we want to look at things from a true light perspective. We want to express things from a true light perspective. a wholesome, giving a quantum of information with how we communicate with each other. Now, you might not have to give a full quantum load of information to people outside of the temple, but within the temple, we want to express ourselves in a wholesome way, so that way everybody that's listening, participating, can understand where we're coming from. And we want to make sure that we're not giving a narrow view of things, because there is a quantum load, a quantum load of data that's out here that we miss just in giving a basic expression about something. And that's where your opinions and things like that kind of come into effect versus the facts and the truth of things. And then you have that division, like I mentioned last week, between truth and facts. Because people always saying, speak your truth, speak my truth. Let me speak my truth. When technically truth don't belong to anybody. Truth is truth. It's either true or it's not. It can be a fact for you, but that don't make it the truth. So I'm glad you touched on that, Brother Jonathan, because it gave us a chance to recap what was talked about last week.
Thank you. The women, I see them, to this day as wanting to be helpful, but not in the way. You know what I mean? And the men, looking at the university and the blogging, I look at the men being able to jump in that, or women, but like I see the men like in a marriage or something, being able to support that role on the political side of things and getting involved and communicating in private with their queens, and being able to develop a sense of self alongside others doing the same on a global level with all these live streams and yeah, all the noise, making sense of it. Thank you.
Islam, true peace. So last week we left off on chapter 2 in El's Holy Quran, and verse 23, where it went into the things that are becoming, the plagues of debt, which we just witnessed one, COVID-19, earthquakes, fires, tornadoes, volcanic eruptions, AIDS, Ebola, the Dengue fever, and other things. So, and it talks about how your kidneys, which is the seat of your emotions, and a part of your spleen, and your navel, and your hearts, which is where the seat of your thoughts come from, this is what you'll be judged by how you operate within self. So the world that you're seeing on the outside is a reflection of the world that you're seeing on the inside within you. So this is why I say get yourself around active morals, people who are tapping in within self and finding that crystal city within self, which we'll be going over here and over in here in the World Temple Clubhouse room. So I want to reset the room real quick before we jump right in. We're about to read El's Holy Injiyl, which is the book of Revelations. Welcome to the World Temple, branch temple number 24 of the Moorish Science Temple of America. We are globally chartered and incorporated branch temple of the Moorish Science Temple of America. We're teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed. So come in, click that block of words at the top that says World Temple. Hit the follow button. Leave your questions in the chat. Come get involved. We honor all true and divine prophets, y'all. So with that, let's jump into this El's Holy Injiyl for the week. And this will also be on YouTube as well. So you can hit that subscribe button on our YouTube page. That way you can catch the holy days as I upload them every week. and put them on the page. And it's also a bunch of motivational lectures and inspirational sermons and things like that are on the YouTube channel. If you go to my YouTube channel, you'll see the Holy Day sermons and lectures from people like Rabbi Matthews, T.D. Jakes, and a boatload of others. People like Eric Thomas, Les Brown, good motivational speakers for those that need that daily motivation and inspiration. That Wahi, El Wahi, you can find that also on our channel. So let's jump into El's Holy Injiyl for this week. Like I said, we left off on verse 23. Verse 24 says, "But I say to you all, and the rest in Thyatira, all of them who do not have this knowledge, and those who don't know about the deep secrets of Satan, the physical evil one, as they say, surely I will not cast over you all any of the burden." And then 25 says, "But hold on to the discipline you already have until I, the Messiah Jesus, comes. The Messiah Jesus will return with the pure religion of Al-Islam in its pristine purity, and I will come back as an apostle, confirming El's Qur'an. I will tell the world that I never said that I was the creator and that there is no such thing as three gods in one." So the mistranslation says, "But hold on to the discipline you already have until I come," meaning Yahshua. So verse 26 reads, "And as for him who overcomes those Pakistani Muslims who return to Al-Islam and guard my works, El's Quran, El's Loha Karush, El Torah, and El's Injiyl until the very end, the last days, surely I will give him authority over all nations. The Pakistanians are the real rulers over India. They have all the wealth." So the World Leaders Forum that I'm a part of, the headquarters is Pakistan. This is where the headquarters is at. And then you have the one that was copied from us, and my chairman Iqbal, Shahi Iqbal, the World Leaders Forum of Ireland, who's portraying to be the true World Leaders Forum, which is actually us, and I am the U.S. director for that World Leaders Forum, and it's a special agency of the United Nations. So when things like this in the scriptures come about, it's no coinky-dink the things that we have been through as a community of people in a congregation of the World Temple, the things that have happened to me as a Grand Sheik, and the things that take place. There's no coincidences that we have these alignments that has been received through spiritual downloads and rolled out and written out and inscribed through the commentary of this El's Holy Injiyl, or the translation for us in modern day time. So the mistranslation reads, "And he that overcometh and keepeth it my works unto the end, to him I will give power over the nations." So chapter 2, verse 27 reads, "So he, Pakistani and Muslims, will rule over the Hindu Indian with a rod of iron, and break them like vessels of pottery, stopping them from worshiping clay statues." So this goes back to the same old time battle that we had in the past in ancient Egypt between the priesthood of the Amens and the brother Atum or Aten, who brought in the reverence of one deity. All the gods come from one source. And this is where that concept of Allah El Ilo or Pa Timta and or Natir comes from, because there's one source, there's one nature. All are a part of the all. So this is why in Islam you have that mix up between all of the deities and then the source, subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Allahumma, the sources, or the Elos, the Elohims, in comparison with demigods and other powerful beings that came to this planet. So chapter 2 verse 28, the mistranslation reads, just like what I, Yahshua HaMashiach, was also given from my adopted father, Yahweh of the Elohims, I will give him the morning star. Or it simply says, and I will give him the morning star. The translated version for us reads, just like I, Messiah Jesus, was also given from my adopted father, El Elo, I will give him, the righteous ones of peace, the morning star, symbolic of the craft of Messiah Jesus and his return. Now it says craft. The master teachers mentioning the craft, that same apparatus that we read in the prophecies and sayings from the prophet Noble Drew Ali that was mentioned. And last week we had the government talking about they shot down some unidentified flying object. Biden did a press conference saying that he's preparing and putting funding into our government being prepared for events like this. And then before Biden, you had President Trump, who put together a space force called the Space Command. So it's as if they're preparing to go to war with alien species or extraterrestrials that the population, the mass population of people, have not been informed on. Now, other countries talk about these unidentified objects and these unknown phenomena and things that take place, or mysterious phenomena, that these strange happenings that happen all over the world, they're talked about in the local news media. But in America, it's a different story. It's quote unquote not to be spoken of, or it's not accepted by mainstream. When we know this is what mainstream will be. The master teacher, Dr. Malachi Z. York, honest to him, did lectures about what we're talking about happening right now before it even happened, about how UFOism will become a religion. And you have many fanatical UFO fanatic groups that came about and that are here just based on the Area 51 situation. But we as a people, we have the freedom to request a lot of this information and get this knowledge, even down to the SETI project and the things that they have been doing and put into documentation for decades. At this point, it's going on decades. So verse 29 reads, he that have an ear, so let him listen to what the soul, Anunnaki, Elohim, Malachi, Zodok, Melchizedek, leader of the deity, supreme deity, says to the congregation. So I just watched a video today about how there's talk in the military about the return of the Sumerian gods. And knowing that there's melanated individuals because these are things that have been documented, spoken about, and witnessed very minutely through alternative genres of topics on different radio stations that most people really kind of skim over. Now I can't remember the radio station I wanted to remember off top of the head. That this one caller, he called in to this radio station and he was frantic and things like that, and he was talking about how the entities that America made a contract with is kind of getting fed up and want to push their authority over in the issues that they're having because of the actions of the American leadership. So these type of things are not new conversations. Obviously, if we have this being put into the scriptures, and we know the scriptures mentions extraterrestrial presence all through the sacred text, even going into the Bhagavad Gita and the Hindu text, and things of that nature, you have extraterrestrial occurrences all over those scriptures. So that was the closing of chapter 2. And we'll start off with chapter 3 next week. I'm going to read the first verse. The first and second verse, so we know but what we'll be picking up for next week. So chapter 3 verse 1 reads, "And you, John, son of Zebedee, and Salome, write to the Anunnaki Elohim of the congregation of Sardis, which is the capital city of ancient Lydia. Sardis, representing Judaism, the religion based upon the laws and precepts of the writings of the Talmud, which is only a watered down and severely revised version of the 5 books of Moses, son of Amram, and Joshbet, known as Moshe to the Hebrews, Musa to the Muslims, whose Levitical name is Tob Adonijah, meaning my Lord is good, called the laws or the Torah. This is what Melchizedek, leader of the deities, supreme deity, says, who has with him the 7 souls of Yahweh, also called Allah by the Muslims, Theos by the Greeks, and Elah by the Messiah Jesus, and the 7 stars or crafts. The 7 souls represent the 7 arch messengers, Anunnaki Elohim, who was sent to the planet Earth." So this is some commentary from the master teacher. It says Malachi Zodok speaks, and it reads, "Surely I know about your work that you have named Israelite. This was the name of the descendants of Jacob, son of Isaac and Rebekah. Surely you have a reputation of being alive, but you are really dead. Many people think that the Israelites still exist. However, they have perished. The only survivors are the tribe of Judah because they kept the covenant." And this is put into the text. So today you have the Judahites, which is your modern day people of Yoruba, which is a derivative of the word Yehuda, or Judah. So verse 2 reads, from the mistranslation, it says, "Be watchful." So wake up. No, be watchful and strengthen the things which remain that are already to die. For I have not found thy works perfect before God. Or so wake up and hold strictly which is all you have left, surely I, Maliki Sadiq, don't find the works you, Yisraeli, have done exactly right in the sight of my creator Yahweh of the Elohim. Or the translated version reads, so wake up, be watchful, and hold strictly to strengthen al-Islam, which is all you have left that remains, for Judaism is about ready to die. Surely I, Malachi Zodok, don't find the works you Israelites have done exactly right and perfect by not accepting Muhammad in the sight of my Malachi Zodok's creator, Theos, also known as El Elo, the Most High, Elun El, to the Hebrews, and Allah, Elun El, to the Muslims, and Anu, to the ancient Sumerians. So we're going to stop right there. But to touch on what's being stated here, this is a message to the Church of Sardis, which represents that old Judaic law, those true, going back to the true light that I was mentioning earlier. So those that have came about after and used the law, the Torah, there's been many different translations of it, many different variations, even oral teachings in societies based on the Torah, the laws of the Torah. So when it comes to understanding that new logical perspective, you really want to dissect the Torah as we would do in our tribunals Monday through Thursday, which, like I said, we haven't done because there's really no cases or anything like that on the docket for us to do the Monday through Thursday. And we'll get back to it eventually, but for right now, there's not much put on the case docket for the tribunal. So during the tribunal, we would actually read El's Holy Torah just as we read El's Holy Injiyl, and we would do the review on the Torah, because Monday was our day of inspiration, and then on that Tuesday and Thursday we would do the readings of the Torah, because those are our days to teaching about the law and having law class within the tribunal session of the temple. But we really got to get down to where are we going as a people, where do we see ourselves as a people, and really build communities and take them to the next level. It's one thing having the building and doing the building, but when you have the Church of Latter-day Saints with a $38 billion fund and fund managers and things like that, and then you have us who actually does have a fund called the chaplaincy fund, it's harder for us to get it off the ground. There's a lot of poor congregations out there, or the parts of the divine and national movements that are behind, and then you have some that are ahead and doing real estate and other type of things for us as a people. But as a conglomerate, instead of all these sporadic different parts of the movement, if we work together as one unified divine and national movement, there's much more that we can do, and that's what we plan on pushing with the fund of funds that we have through our chaplaincy fund. So I'm gonna jump into our holy instructions for this week, and then we're gonna move on into the closing literature, and we can close it out from here. But I hope everyone is enjoyed their holy day, for those that come back and listen to the replay. I'm about to change the link at the top. So if you want to do anything on the temple site, you want to get to that. Just give you a heads up because I'm about to change it. All right. So, of course, as we do every week, we went over our civic engagement, our civic virtues. We discussed those things. We touched on the study of theoretics, politics, practical aspects of our citizenship, the rights and duties of it, and a little bit of civil law and code, and how we should be studying that and focus more so on that versus status correction things or concepts that have nothing to do with actually moving as a temple, a body of people, as a royal body and royal audience of people. So with that, let's get into our holy instructions. As you know, Friday is the holy day. Oh, you who know, when the call is proclaimed to supplication on Friday, the day of assembly, hasten earnestly to the remembrance of the Heavenly Father and Divine Mother, and leave off business and traffic. That is best for you if you but knew. And when prayer is finished, then may ye disperse through the land and seek the bounty of God, and celebrate the praises of God of sin and without stint, that ye may prosper. All chaplaincy, temple services ought to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7, and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest, because on the Friday the first man was formed in flesh, and on the Friday the first man departed out of flesh, and ascended unto his Father God of love. For that cause, Friday is our holy day for all Muslims and peacemakers all over the world. This is according to Act 2 of the Divine Constitution and Bylaws by the Prophet Noble Ali, which states all temples and subordinate temples are to conduct holy day service every Friday, starting promptly at their respective time and ending promptly at their respective time. All civilians, patrons, denizens, prospects, and ministers service. On Fridays, the Moorish Americans, Moorish Asians, and Moorish African Muslims and peacemakers all come together to supplicate and to illustrate that which Allah has blessed them with. The temple services are to open according to divine love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. At no time will templars, adepts, ministers, patrons, or outside congregational guests be allowed to disrupt the holy day service, nor will civilians be admitted under the influence of alcohol or any severe intoxicants. All templars, adepts, civilians attending the holy day service must have their heads covered with either a turban, fez, or kufi, or spiritual covering. Baseball caps and things of that nature should not be worn in the temple. The Sunday school temple service is mandatory, and all Moorish nationals, templars, and temple denizens must promptly attend the temple service and send their children to the Sunday school gathering, and the teacher must conform himself and herself to the Temple 101 questionnaires, and let every civilian man, woman, and child exercise his or her five senses who is able to do so, because from out of your Sunday school comes the guiders of the nation, and now the entire global village. According to Act 5 of the additional laws by the Prophet Noble Ali, every subordinate temple should have 2 Sunday school gatherings held. The first meeting should be held 1 to 2 hours before the adult service. Children's Sunday school should be conducted by a director of the Children's Sunday School program. The Sunday school gathering is designed to assist the temple in learning the Temple 101 questionnaires and developing an understanding of just what these holy keys mean and how they are to be applied to our everyday lives. The Divine Constitution and Bylaws, along with the Moorish Prayer, the Holy Covenant of the Asiatic Nation, El's Holy Injiyl, El's Holy Qur'aan, and our civic lessons or editions of the Holy Temple of Moorish Science are also subjects of major concern for the apprentice who is trying to complete his or her mandatory requirements for pronouncing their temple civilianship and global nationality. All lessons for the adult Sunday school gathering must be prepared by a Grand Sheik, a divine minister, or an assistant Grand Sheik. Additions or lessons called by us novites, additions, may be submitted to the apprentice for completion and returned to the temple. Once the lessons are completed and graded, they must be placed in the active members' temple district file. The Sunday school temple service and meeting is a wonderful opportunity to study the liturgy teachings of the prophet. No civilian is to become disruptive during the Sunday meeting. All Templars must bring paper and pen to the temple service and meeting, along with the basic temple literature and assignment. No Templars or patrons to eat food or other snacks during the temple service or meeting, but water is permitted. All Templars must attend their Sunday temple service and meetings as diligently as they attend their holy day temple service and meeting. Both were called out for by the Prophet Noble Ali and is required as a matter of temple law. According to the Divine Constitution, Act 7, and part, all Templars must promptly attend their temple services and meeting and become a part and parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America, and now also Moorish Science Temple of Africa and Moorish Science Temple of Asia, and enjoining world islands on behalf of all indigenous people. For membership, any heads of temples of all temple jurisdictions are not to charge for naturalization or to overcharge for cards, buttons, or anything issued by and through the Prophet. Those who contribute to any of the proceedings are not Moors, civilians, or patrons, but robbers. Temple nationality and membership in the Holy Temple's vast estate or public beneficiary trust, sisters and brothers, kin and kinfolk is free, not only here, but all over the world. All kin and kinfolk desiring to become a civilian of a subordinate temple must read the message from the temple secretary and download the application for naturalization found on our Holy Temple's website, or acquire it from your local secretary and grand sheik. The secretary of the temple's jurisdiction will help all newcomers by explaining the naturalization affidavit and application for membership in the temple's vast estate or public beneficiary trust to the new prospective civilians of the temple's vast estate or public beneficiary trust, and arranging for him or her to be consulted by the royal council of said temple or subordinate temple. The royal chairman or woman will set the date for the new temple prospect to be interviewed by the royal council. The new temple court civilian, upon completion of the royal council's consultation at the newcomers gathering or Sunday school gathering on Sunday, the new templars will proclaim their temple nationality at the next upcoming holy day, temple gathering. After the new civilian prospect proclaims his or her nationality, they will be given the mandatory requirements necessary to earn their free national name and title and royal title of nobility as a true American royal. These requirements are as follows, and in accordance with chapter 47 of the Moorish Circle 7 Holy Qur'an, called Egypt the capital dominion empire, called Egypt the capital dominion of the empire of Africa. The Moorish prayer, chapter 25 of the Moorish Qur'an, called the Holy Covenant of the Asiatic Nation, including the 101 temple questions for Moorish Americans, Asians, and Africans, the Divine Constitution and bylaws, the additional laws, and the precepts, statutes, and ordinances from El's Holy Torah, El's Holy Injiyl, El's Holy Qur'an, the Holy Tabernacle Family Guide, and also the Holy Tablets, through our Civics 101 course in the Global Independent School District, which we call the Sacred Halls of Learning, or New University, for everyone of the global village. Once a new civilian or template has learned these additions or lessons verbatim, or to the best of their ability, he or she will be interviewed by the temple's royal council as the chaplaincy to determine if the new civilian is qualified to represent himself and or herself as a faithful Moorish American, Moorish African, and Moorish Asian Muslim, or any indigenous peacemaker, and communicated to the ignorant for their instructions, and communicated to the wise for dying on improvement. Once the new civilian or template has cleared the mandatory requirements with the royal council, he or she will be naturalized by the grand sheik and divine minister of said subordinate temple. True peace. And those are the holy instructions for joining the Moorish Science Temple of America. Simple process on getting involved. So when it comes to doing the works of the temple, this is why I say we have a lot more to focus on, especially when we have a school system to develop, and bigger than just helping people learn how to pay bills. Where do we go with our education for the future? Are we educating our people in the liberal arts, the grammar, the astrology, astronomy, rhetoric, math, science, all these different things that we as Moorish people were the participant progenitors of? So we got to get it together where our focal is at. Where do we see ourselves in the next cycle that's coming about. We are already in the sun cycle now. So let's go into our nationality procedure, or what we call a holy shahada. The proclamation of nationality procedure and pronunciation of one's nationality will be held on Holy Day for all civilians, denizens, templeless peacemakers, or Muslims all over the world. During the ceremony, the new civilian and templeless will be ordained in El, Bey, or Day and given his or her royal peerage title of kin, honorable, lady, noble, nin, naya, prince, or princess by a grand sheik and or divine minister, and also receive his or her nationality card and button from the divine minister of the Grand Major Temple. Upon conclusion of the nationality proclamation, the Grand Sheik and divine minister will have the civilian, templets, and temple prospect stand while he or she reads the authority of the Moorish Science Temple of America. It is by virtue of the Religious Corporation Act that can be found in Heard's revised statute that gives the Moorish Science Temple of America, Asia, and Africa the authority to restore the nationality and birthrights of the lost Asiatic of America, Asia, and Africa, and all world islands, and give them the title to their vast estate and their heritage. The Grand Sheik and or divine minister is to read from the card and have the new national state, Allah is God, and I am Moorish American, African, or Asian, and or world islander, and this is our Moorish clarification of faith or Shahada, and our national pledge of allegiance. The new civilian or templeless free national name should then be added to the Temple's Book of Life as they enroll in our Civic 101 course. The nationality ceremony should be conducted by the Grand Sheik and Divine Minister or any other Divine Minister so designated by the Grand Sheik and Divine Minister in his or her time of absence, and most notably by the Assistant Grand Sheik and Divine Minister. The nationality card and naturalization application must be signed bearing the name and title of the Grand Sheik or Divine Minister who issued the application and card, and the date of its issuance. The Religious Corporation Act has deemed the Global Interdependent School District and the Incorporated and Chartered Moorish Science Temple of America, Africa, and Asia as a religious trust and theocratic government established in 1928 on August 20th. This religious trust is the true global trusteeship system for the Holy Family of Nations, forming the global nucleus. Y'all can check out the links as the web. So let's jump into this closing literature from the prophet, so we can close it out for us here tonight. But we kept it real light tonight. I tried to keep it as light as I could, but still deliver some impactful things that needed to be touched on. The Spirit sent down a transmission for us to touch on, because when it comes to us going into our story, it's going to get controversial. It was already a controversial thing with the reformer, Dr. Malachi Z. It was already controversial with the prophet, as we're about to read here in some of the literature. So the works that I'm doing to further along the message, like I said last week, when you take upon that message, you're looked at as awkward. So this is why you want to work on your internal self, work on the confidence, work on who you are. If you want to be yourself, you have to be able to take in insult. You have to be able to take in the naysayers. You have to be able to deal with those things, and the positive voice, the positive vibration within you has to be stronger than that negative vibration. The inspiration in you have to build that and grow that inspiration. You have to participate. This is where the weakness, the holy instructions for weakness, the holy instructions for inconsistency come into play from the prophet. This is why you want to get yourself a copy of that Holy Quran Circle 7 and read that. Some people have access to it and don't read it at all. And we was told to Ikra, read. This is why when we read together here, whether it's 2 of us, 3 of us, 4 of us, we read together to succeed together. And you do it constantly. This is what help you heal. You have the testimonies from that. You have them every week. If you go back, continue to go back, you have people that come in here, you have people that come and listen to the replays, and you have that continuously every week. Keeping it simple as best as I can, especially what I like I said for the past couple series of holy days, the noise is loud. It's very loud. I'm not up here doing the different topics every week, which we'll get more into once we get more into the flow and more questions coming in. But as of now, with us being a small congregation, we just need to touch on the things that come through, deliver that transmission by way of spirit, and keep it moving, as the prophet let it be known that the grand sheiks, if no one comes in the temple, you only have to stick around 45 minutes, and then you keep it moving if no one comes to the temple. But we have to remain steadfast on our focus, our end goal. Like I say, this year we stepping up, and that's what we've been doing. We got the YouTube automation. We almost at 600 subscribers. Went from 200 to 600 less than a month. And we're working our way up to 1,000 subscribers, which we'll be having soon. And monetization, automation and monetization of the platform. So we want to create more content. Just reach out and we can put it on there. We do it through the temple. If we want to create a page directly for the temple, we can do that as well. Me and one of the nobles from the temple, we've already came together and created another page and working on another idea. There's multiple things that we can do to build up the economy for us as a people, and this is what we're working towards. So that way we won't be falling in the statistics of those poor congregations, especially with plans for us to have a wealthy nation, to be a wealthy people. You don't get a wealthy congregation nor wealthy people from a poverty-stricken congregation. Just don't trickle down that way. And even the scriptures that people read from, it tells you to be investors. It tells you to go and bring wealth into your community. So with that, hope everyone takes heed to the message, especially for those listening to the replay for this week's message. We got a lot of work to do. We're going to continue to keep doing the work, whether it's 2 or 3 of us in here or it's 100 people in the room. And we're going to keep striving, keep pushing forward. I hope you all focus on doing the same. Keep your head up. Let's get into these closing messages from the prophet. The prophet gave these instructions to the members of the temple, to the temples, of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Islam. The prophet says, "Be faithful unto your forefathers' divine and national creed, that you will be blessed for your good deeds that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is now on. But the weak can comprehend it not. The end of time is drawing near, so says Allah to his divine prophet, I, Noble Ali. And that's why many hearts have been turned to stone, and many have eyes to see, but cannot see, ears to hear, but cannot hear, lest they would be confounded of their sin. These are the trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit is moving, and they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. If you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not what you hear or see, but will sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your prophet. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your divine and national principles of your temples. Act accordingly, and Allah will bless you for your good work. True peace, your divine prophet, Noble Ali." Islam. So the Moabites are descendants of the Shemites, who expanded from Africa to over here. Meaning from those on high. This is what the name means. Going on into Enoch, who was taken up by the angels. So our particular tribe and tribal congregation or community of the Royal American family, we got to take heed, especially the things that Elijah Muhammad said about Shem and who we are. We're those celestial spirits, those spirits that know about the mysteries of the Most High and will speak them boldly. Islam. So let's jump into this message coming from the prophet, him speaking to the nations. And before I do that, I want to let it be known that those that don't have a temple home, you have a home here with us at Branch Temple number 24, the Moorish Science Temple of America. We are a global branch temple, chartered and incorporated of the Moorish Science Temple of America. We're teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed. Click that block of words up at the top that says World Temple and come and link yourself with the family of nations. Whether you're just here as a guest member of the temple or you're a full active member in the temple, you want to be here as much as possible as you can, especially week to week, because you never know what might come through transmission by way of spirit. So you never know what you might miss out on, especially the type of information that we drop and the questions that get asked. A lot of people run around with nearsighted perspectives, nearsighted thinking, tunnel vision. Some people stuck in time, as I say, plenty of times in the space. Caught up in metaphysical jargon, whatever the case may be. Political jargon, political propaganda, etc. So this is the prophet speaking to the nation. The prophet says, if you have race pride and love your race, join the Moorish Science Temple of America and become a part of this divine movement. Then you will have power to redeem your race, because you will know who you are and your forefathers were. Because where there is unity, there is strength. Together we stand, divided we fall. Come, good people, because I, the prophet, sent to redeem this nation from mental slavery, which you have now, need every one of you who think that your condition can be better. This is an open field to strong men and women to uplift the nation and take your place in the affairs of men. If the Europeans and other nations are helping me, why not you? It's your problem. The Negro problem is being solved only as it can, and that is by the Moorish National Divine Movement. If you have a nation, you must have a free national name in order to be recognized by this nation as an American citizen. This is what was meant when it said, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all these things will be added unto you by the prophet. So first, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, not paperwork status. That don't change the energy that you're walking around with that attract those things that you attract. This is what the redemption is about. This is what the true power of Solomon was about. For those that know. So we're gonna rejoice in the Most High. And there's a verse in Book of Peter that talks about us that are seekers of the new heaven and the new earth, because there's war in the first and second estate of heaven. And we're coming into a new inheritance. So we don't want to bring an old paradigm, and you can't bring the old paradigmic ways into a new paradigm, especially that don't operate on that particular frequency, wave, and band. It's going to cancel it out, or it's going to block it out. A lot of people are not going to be able to adapt to the changes that are coming, the plans that are coming, the growth that's been happening. A lot of them going to miss out. The people that you see here before, you don't see them here a lot. As we continue to grow, you're going to see people from a whole nother frequency band. So with that, let's go into the messages that are mandatory from the prophet. And before I do that, I'm going to change the link in the room. So if y'all want to get into those courses, y'all want to click that Civics 101 link that's pinned to the top of the room right there. And to become an active member, you want to go ahead and join our Patreon that I'm about to add to the top of the link, to the top of the chat, I'm sorry. And join the royal audience for less than $1. You want to do this at the same time as go to that Civics 101 link, so that way I know who is a part officially of the royal audience as an active member or active civilian in the temple. So with that, let's go into the divine warning from the prophet. The prophet said, I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical speeches while they're working at homes or on the streets. Will for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your card at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. Will for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet, or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Zabuwr, and if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet therefore is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful way. True peace, Zabuwr. So this has to do with spiritual redemption, y'all. This is why when you have a political change, it's your philosophy, your political philosophy changes. It wakes you up truly to what's really going on out here politically, civilly, legally, lawfully, equitably. It changes that. And you get to see through a lot of what's being done through the paperwork pushing thing versus actual real administration and what it looks like, how to express yourself as a sovereign people. People think they sovereign because they take up the name God or Goddess. That don't make you sovereign. And some people are free in their mind, of course, but you can have that freedom, that same freedom and humbleness that you have as an enslaved body or person in your persona, as well as in your political status. Because it does not matter what the left wing or the right wing does when you have your own theocratic jurisdiction. Things change and is lawfully acknowledged as a government body, not an organization or a group or anything like that. Government. Just like your local city is a government. All right, so this message is also to be proclaimed or this piece of literature is also to be proclaimed in every temple service and meeting. Islam, the prophet says, I'm glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There's a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people of our side of the nation that claim that I was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me, so they may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I am calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance, and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without me, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my work, which I have performed in the past few years. Prophet Ali, true people. So we need to get the prophet's works put into the school books. Some of our other leaders put into the school book, and these controversial things, these controversial marks, removed. But even with that, they're marked by the divine for the divine and righteous work that has been done for us as a people, as a holy people, as a divine people. So with that, y'all, hope y'all enjoy the rest of y'all holy day. True peace, Black Wolf. I see you down there. You gotta come back and catch the replay, unless you want to make some contributions real quick. I ain't that sure. Say 4 people came, 3 people here. Okay. If not, just catch the replays, Noble. I'm about to close it out with the prayer. So tonight, if you can bring him up for me, Jonathan. I don't know if he can get my invite. I know me and him was having some issues with that in the past. But just to recap what we went over tonight, we read through El's Holy Injiyl, went over some of the Temple 101s and how they reflect in the Temple 101s, and our political status as a people. Where do we see ourselves in this next up and coming cycle, and just how we should be focused on things that are beyond just getting bills paid and simple stuff when we have nations to develop. Townships, municipalities, schools, education platforms, economic systems. There's much more than the ones and zeros on a book, and really getting down to the principles of how these things operate, because they're not newer principles. They're not new principles. These are old business procedures that actually originated with us as a people. But there's way more to this divine and national movement than just that. We have to help our people renew their spirit. A lot of our people are caught up in propaganda, things of propaganda, occultisms, and just a whole facet of things that come from the amber light or the fallen ones that keep our people distracted. Like the master teacher said, I have to, extract all those distractions from you so you can get the true light. So you can come into the true light. And like I said, whether they're caught up in metaphysical jargon, etc., whatever it might be, this is the reason why it's important to have that temple structure, because of the divinity. It says the divine and national movement. This is about a spiritual redemption, not just a paperwork process. And someone that wants to change what they're doing on paper. This is a spiritual journey that people are embarking on. So therefore, they have to have spiritual guides and leaders, sheiks, rabbis, ministers, etc., that guide them along that path. This is more than just a paperwork process. So, we touched on a lot of that last year, but we just wanted to go over it and recap it again and really bring it home to the point that this is a spiritual redemption here. We read it from the prophet's own words. We read it in the other texts, especially in El's Holy Injiyl that we read tonight, that this is about living that way of life of peace, and understanding that as a political status. We are a nucratic theocracy. We've went over the fact that even the prophet was guiding us in that direction by way of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, being the principal points that we stand on for our nucratic philosophy, for our theocratic philosophy, our political status. Political status is changed simply with a nationality ceremony, not paperwork processing. And like I said, we'll be making that known till we blow in the face here and waking our people up, because it's a lot of propaganda, it's a lot of misdirection going on with our people, and they're not grounded in these facts. So with that, I'm gonna close us out with the prayer, y'all. Y'all know how we do. 5 fingers up, 2 fingers up, facing the east, feet at a 45-degree angle. Let's jump into this prayer. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through His holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Amen. So with that, y'all, go back, listen to the replays. I'm about to put this on YouTube as well. Go there and subscribe. If you want to get involved in the things that we got going on, just reach out. You can hit me in the DMs, the back channels, etc., Telegram, however you need to reach me. Don't be afraid to reach out. Talk, I talk back. And remember, keep your head up. Go within, or you're going to continue to go without as a people. And the focus is not a paperwork process thing. It's a spiritual redemption. This is documented by not just the prophet, but the ancient sages, messengers, our modern day master teachers, etc. And I'm here reiterating it. And like I said, we'll keep reiterating it till we blue in the face. When you have your nationality ceremony or your holy shahada, that is a spiritual baptism. That is a spiritual cleansing. That is a ceremony symbolic for you to be reborn again. And we'll be reading that in El's Holy Injiyl as well. And it's the same thing in a powwow when you join a tribal nation. Same thing. Like I said earlier, all nations across the world, all civilizations want civil people in their communities. They want peaceful people in their communities. Majority of the nations across the world are based on the principles and operate on the principles of peace. And if not, those 5 principles that we operate as a temple of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. So you want to go and check out Book of Corinthians, chapter 3:16, chapter 3, verse 16. Read that, and how it mentions that we as a people are a temple. The body is the temple of God, the Most High, Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Not these conspiracy theories, this metaphysical jargon, and a lot of the occultism, which just means hidden cultures. They came and took our knowledge from our indigenous cultures that they hid off, or that were hidden off, to the world and the sciences of those cultures. And this is why we go into civics here every week. This is why you want to be here, because like I said earlier, you never know what might come through in transmission from spirit for us to deliver to the people. And I'm gonna make sure we get the fundamental understanding of these things at a root before we jump off into all the noise that's out here, especially with getting involved. There's a lot of blockages and things that people tell you before you even take your first step with your redemption or redeeming yourself as a people, which is talked about in the book of Matthew. You shall be redeemed without money. So if you get a chance, go to my YouTube, go to our YouTube for the temple, look for the biblical equity ceremony and sit through that. Or you can find it here on one of the replays in the clubhouse where I actually played out the whole sermon. But you should be redeemed without money. You should be redeemed without equity. So this is not about a financial process or any of those things. Not even a business or a commerce process. This is a spiritual event, a spiritual gathering. This is based on the divine and national movement. The divine first. Your divinity. Raising you up in divinity. Getting you in touch with your etherical parents, your etherical ancestors. Come link yourself with the family of nations. This is why like we just read, it says, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and then all these things will be added unto you. All the wealth, all the financing, all the knowledge. You step into the sacred halls of learning. You step into the library of Luxor, or they changed it and called it the Library of Alexander, but originally it's called the Library of Luxor or Waset. You step into that library and learn whatever you want to learn from the ancient divinities, the ancient ones, the divine intelligences that surround us beyond the scope of our aura fields and all the frequencies, the radio waves, and the noise that is out here. So I'm gonna leave y'all with that. Come tap in. Like I said, if you want to get in touch with me, y'all know how to get it. Get on YouTube, get on Telegram, Facebook, which I don't be on too much like that no more. But if you want to catch me, you can back channel me here on Clubhouse or message me on Telegram or try to reach out. The phone number's on the temple website. Go through the replays, listen to those replays, or go to YouTube, listen to the replays. We're at 54. I think we're going on this our 54th sermon. Now we'd have had more if I wouldn't have took a year off, but we on number 54, and we're gonna keep going, be here every week, making sure the work get done. Like I said, one of the holy instructions from the prophet, like I mentioned earlier, is the holy instructions for inconsistency. Another one, the holy instructions for weakness. And that's people that are inconsistent. They don't have the firmness that you have when you're here and you're doing something and you're being consistent. They don't carry that power or that energy or that vibration. Like I said, those frequencies are gonna ban them out, and that other frequency is what's gonna pull them. It's like a magnet. So get yourself around some active Moors, those that are really active, not just active in the temple, but like we said earlier, politics, financing, actual building things, and not just getting caught up in the narrative today on hustling and get rich quick schemes or quick come ups, or knowledge that really could be conveyed simple. We don't need a whole class for it. It's just like I said, fill this out and say this, or write these couple words and go on about our day. We need to have real conversations about civic engagements and the things that we need to engage in as a people. Real conversations instead of the dead conversations about our marriages, who paying all the bills, who lead the household, this, that, and the third. We need to have real conversations and get to the healing. Our people need healing. Our people need the global redemption. We got to uplift fallen humanity. So that includes not just you, but your family, your community, your nation, and the globe, the global people. We are a global people as Moors, and we got to get to that understanding. I don't care if you call yourself melanated, Indian, whatever term for melanated people. And for those people that keep saying the Moors are traitors and this, that, and the third, you're talking about the Akkadi, which is a sect of African people that were taken by the British. That was not people who ran around calling themselves Moors directly. So you had many Africans enslave each other, not off the strength of them being Africans. So when we say Africans enslave Africans, that's not what the case was. This was solely faith-based situations that happened in the past, especially with the Atlantic slave trade era and the other slave trade eras that came about after that. Was faith-based, and it came about from those who perverted the pristine Islam first. And it started with Islam. It started with those who live the way of peace. So understand that we are not just the global, but an omniversal presence of people. The universe itself operates on peace and divine order, which we call Mat or Ma'at in ancient times. With that, y'all know what to do. Wadu, true peace, much love. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all night. Make some more babies. And see y'all next week. Be here next Friday or this Sunday. And we'll be going in for the Sunday school gathering. Click that link on them replays for the Civics 101. Join and enroll into the school and come get involved. This is bigger than paperwork processing. We got actual school systems and financial systems, other systems to build. And we we doing things through tunnel vision, and we got to really put ancient ancient third eye and fourth eye to work. So with that, much love, true peace, Wadu.